Hello Exiles, this is Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming and welcome to another Path of Exile video. League starts coming up tomorrow and Frostblades has been nerfed massively, taking strays from the nerf to Lightning Strike, Trickster in general, a lot of the masteries we used to rely on. Molten Strike, one of my favorites, Return Projectiles and Molten Strike both nerfed. Big nerfs to my main builds, so I wanted to play a build that functions very much like Frostblades in a lot of ways, in that it basically auto-targets things, it's got a lot of nice explosions, you can scale it with like Heat Shiver, all sorts of stuff like that. I don't have that for this demonstration. For this demonstration, I took my character that I played for like 2 or 3 days in Pox's custom league he did a while back, and yeah, I just basically took my kind of day 2 or 3 gear that I had for my Frostblades character, and I threw a wand on and respec the tree in standard a little bit. So I've got my character respec for wanding. It's got kind of mediocre gear, and I found this wand on the ground and threw like 5 essences on it until I just was looking for a flat elemental damage with attack speed and crit chance, and then luckily it had an open prefix to slam the spell damage craft on it. So I'm just going to do a quick demo, then I'm going to talk about it. This is pretty fun build so far. I think it could be a good league starter. The reason I'm doing it as an attack build and not a Locust Mine build, which you have been seeing a lot of, is I don't remember if I set up to be immune to burning ground. I don't believe so. No. Let me go back here. I don't want to be farming Searing Exarch and having to constantly bleed the burning ground. Okay. So now we have that going for us. Now I can start. Alright. So, yeah, basically just kind of auto targets things. You don't really have to look at your screen. It's great for, looking away and doing something on the other monitor. I have to use shield charge instead of whirling blades, which is fine if you get enough attack speed and movement speed. Shield charge feels great. You can still use frost blink for good positioning. Overall feels really nice. You'll attack things that you don't even see on the screen half the time. And yeah, this is pretty mediocre gear. I wouldn't be farming like tier 17s yet with this gear, but I feel, pretty confident for the most part in a lot of the earlier end game content. So I think this is a decent league starter, and I do think it scales pretty hard as well. We'll just go ahead and do the essence. Now it does struggle a little bit on single target, but it isn't too bad. And I'll kind of talk about how I thought it was going to work out and how it actually ended up working out. I had an expectation of how barrage would work, and when I first ran into groups of enemies, it did work that way. So normally when you run the support gem Sacred Wisps, you run it with barrage, because by having these sequential attacks, you'll have a chance to proc the Sacred Wisps for each single hit. Oh, got a tier 17, speaking of. But yeah, you can really see here how you can kind of struggle with single target. So it's a little bit to work on, but once again, gear leaves a lot to be desired currently, whereas the mine version did not. However, the attack speed, the baseline attack speed is being buffed for Power Siphon, and the effectiveness of damage is being nerfed, which is going to make the mines about 50% less effective while keeping the attack version pretty much the same DPS, assuming you can keep up with the mana costs. But, if you have Instant Leech, which is also getting nerfed, the mastery for it, so we'll only have 5% Instant Leech instead of 10%. That might make a difference, and if so, it might require a little bit more investment in mana fixing. Maybe not. But yeah, clear is quite nice. You still get the nice gratifying pops from the Herald Vice. Proximity bubbles are a bit unfortunate, but that's true for all ranged attacks. And I'll just get to the boss here. you'd also generally be doing a bit more damage. This is 60% more monster life. It's not like a huge amount more, but for my current level of gearing, it can be quite a bit, especially against, tougher enemies like essence monsters. Gonna turn the bleeding off. Oh, and yeah, I'm already struggling a little bit to keep up. Oh, did I kill it? Okay, sure. I don't like this map, but since I'm in standard, I don't have a ton of options because I haven't farmed up any maps. I basically just kind of allocated my points and leapfrogged up because I didn't have any maps of this current gen since I haven't played standard in a long time. All right, so we just go here. And actually, I also have very low chaos resistance currently, -27. So this boss was a bit dangerous as well. As you can see inside that chaos degen, losing damage quick. But, all right, so clear is insane. Single target leaves a little bit to be desired, but it's something you can scale up quite a bit later on with the proper gearing. I currently only have 6 power charges. I have, my base 3 and then infused instability as well as overcharge anointed, which will be the most expensive part of getting started, I think, as it requires a silver, black, and red. Silvers will probably be expensive the first few days before, people start really farming blight. This build should be really good at farming blight as well as legion, breach, anything like that, anything where you have to kill a bunch of monsters. So yeah, overall, that's what it looks like. This is my current tree. The main things to focus on are you want to make sure and get some wand nodes, of course. You want all the power charges you can get. Power charges scale extremely well on Power Siphon. Being able to get a helmet with a corrupted extra power charge and possibly like the Delve rings with extra power charges. The more power charges you can get on this, the better, because they will give you more critical strike chance. Which means you don't really have to invest at all into critical strike chance. And then they will also give you critical strike multiplier at 30% per power charge, which is a huge amount of multi. Just for reference, that's the same as Throat Seeker, where it's like 2 really good or 3 decent rolls on a jewel. So that's, of course, incredible to have. The more the merrier there. You'll need the quality, otherwise it's 20% per power charge. The quality will put it up to 30%. You can get that easily by farming up your labs. You can just go to labs and keep throwing it into the quality thing at the end in the font. I decided not to go with polymath, even though it's the biggest DPS increase, because it is going to be nerfed. So currently that would represent, what do we got? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, and 27%. And I could get more. I could get an accuracy mastery. I could get a spell suppression mastery. So I have a lot that I could still get, or a couple more that I could still get. However, it's going to be 2% instead of 3%. So instead, what I would probably recommend is going one step ahead and then Swift Killer once you get Ice Bite and or Mark the Prey with Mark Mastery. And then you'll want to go Escape Artist and Soul Drinker. Soul Drinker is part of, there's a lot of things that make this durable. As you can see, my current gear is not very focused on ES, and I only have a little over 1,000, most of which is from Escape Artist, which is getting nerfed, as well as Melding. I get probably about 1/3 of my ES from Melding and 2/3 from my body armor with Escape Artist. This is not a spectacular body armor. It does have tier 1 flat evasion ES, but it doesn't have any percent, just the quality. It's got life and reflects physical, but yeah, I got this pretty early just as a corrupted body armor, so not much to do there. Also utilizing Ghost Stance, also utilizing Instinct. And then, of course, with Soul Drinker, we leech Energy Shield, and we also don't have it removed, and we get attack and cast speed while we're leeching Energy Shield. So we can be leeching Energy Shield literally for a couple of seconds after we attack at all times. And the best part of this is you get to take advantage of the Energy Leech support, which when you are specifically a Trickster with Soul Drinker, or if you have a way to not have your Energy Shield leech drop off when you reach full, it is one of the best supports in the game. Otherwise, it is a very bad support. So it's conditionally insane because it's got 2 more multipliers. However, there's not a lot of ways other than Soul Drinker to be able to use both of them at any given time, because you can consistently stay at full Energy Shield and also be leeching Energy Shield constantly. Very, very powerful. We also, of course, are taking advantage of Trinity, another one of the best supports in the game, so we get to utilize a lot of extremely powerful supports. Sacred Wisps, when attacking bosses, represents basically a 75% chance for at least one of your wisps, a possibility for 2 of them. So each individually, while attacking a unique enemy, will have a 50% chance to trigger, or a 25% chance when clearing trash mobs, but that's a lot less relevant generally speaking, or a rare, by the way. Rares also will give you the 50%. So what this means is they basically do 50% less damage than your normal attack would do. So you are getting a 75% chance when attacking a unique or rare to do 50% more damage, which works out to something like 37.5% more damage in that case, which is better than most supports. So Sacred Wisp, even though you can't take advantage of Barrage, if you could use Barrage like you can with, for instance, Kinetic Blast or Kinetic Bolt, Sacred Wisps is insanely powerful, and I was using that, and the single target was much better, but the clear feels so good on Power Siphon that for me, I would rather play Power Siphon. However, Kinetic Bolt is an option as well. And then, of course, elemental damage with attacks. You want to get an awakened one eventually so that you can be immune to Reflect. And that's pretty much and Ice Bite. I just like Ice Bite. I use it a lot. It's a low maintenance way to keep frenzy charges. Alternatively, you could automation with Blood Rage. I currently have automation on Steel Skin with more duration. Then I'm using Sniper's Mark with Mark on Hit and Life Tap. You easily cap crit, so you don't need Assassin's Mark. And you gain, with Power Siphon, you just gain the power charges on hit. So if you get more power charges, if you say get like 2 or 3 more power charges, you are going to want to potentially replace one of your supports, maybe even probably elemental damage with attacks or Ice Bite with power charge on crit. There's a certain point where you are just going to get more damage. So that is something you can do as well. And it's especially true if you can get like 10 or 11 power charges if you get way up there. So, but at 6, it's not that much. It's 24% more damage, which is worse than all of my current gems. And I get power charges just through Power Siphon. So that becomes pretty irrelevant as well. Okay. And the best thing is, you also, of course, get the increased charge duration from Swift Killer. So really good stuff all around. I think, yeah, you're going for crit, you're going for Life Energy Shield Hybrid, you got Ghost Dance, you can easily pick up Lethe Shade for the 50% less damage over time taken. Really nice, especially if you have ways of getting around like your ailments. I'm still going Force of Nature, and even though they are nerfing the Elemental Mastery that inverts, I think it's still a huge amount of damage. When I looked in POB, it's still like the best point you can get. Like one of the best single points you can get on the whole tree, even at nerfed from 25 to 15%, especially if you are also running Trinity and, of course, Forces of Nature itself with the 10%. And even better, of course, if you can, let's say instead of the 1 to 2 cold damage to spells, I had elemental penetration on this wand. The more elemental penetration with the inversion, the better, because the inversion will happen first and then the penetration will happen. So when you don't trigger the inversion, you're just getting the benefit of all the penetration. Let's say the enemy had like 50% resist and you have 40% penetration. You're hitting them as if they had 10%. All of a sudden they go -50 and you're hitting them as if they had -90. So that is a huge amount of boosted damage. And you'll be able to hit much more frequently with the changes of Power Siphon going from 115 to 150% base attack speed. So that is the kind of rundown. I have bad jewels in here, but what you'll probably want in jewels, attack speed, crit multi, spell damage, anything like that. Probably going to want a good kind of mixture of the three. As far as cluster jewels, you will probably want to go to a cluster jewel at some point because of the line increases and reductions to spell damage also apply to attack damage from the skill at 150% of their value. So this 64% spell damage plus the 37% I have, so that's 101. So I'm getting basically 150% attack damage from this wand. And then I'm also from these nodes getting 10% and then 20% from Prodigal Perfection. So that's 30%, which will be another 45%. So that's, 200%-ish damage, which is pretty substantial, of course. Looking at a big damage node like this, that's 30 right there. If you get a lot of spell damage in a cluster jewel, you can pump that up. There's like Crown of Eyes and stuff you can do. Lots of good optimizations for this. You can get a pretty intense amount of damage. As far as the gear, the wand, you're going to want attack speed, crit strike chance, spell damage, flat damage, penetration if you can swing it, crit multi if you can swing it. So like a perfect wand for me would be a tier 1 flat damage roll, and then like an essence damage roll with high spell damage, crafted penetration, and then crit chance, attack speed, and crit multi. That's kind of hard to get, but got to try for it. But just go in the beginning for flat damage and then attack speed. And honestly, Power Siphon's base crit is so high, you don't really need crit chance if you don't want. In fact, you can get 10% crit chance just by going, I think, Omen Wand, which has a base 10%. And then you definitely don't need to have crit chance. And you can just go for attack speed and crit multi. And then maybe, if you have an extra slot to craft or something, you can go for double damage or double damage when focused, which would be nice. All right. As far as the helmet, there's a lot of good unique helmets to use, but I think, just until you get that going, the increased damage per power charge is nice. As far as what you can get on here for influence, I like the effect of non-damaging ailments, just making sure you're getting bigger shocks off. I combined that. I have that crafted on my boots as well, and also get a little bit from critical mastery. And you can also pick some extra up from elemental focus here. If I wanted to spec some points around, move some things around a little bit. But I think where I have it is pretty nice, feels pretty decent. So that is something you can do as well. Shield, I definitely would want some spell suppress on the shield. A high block is really nice. Going either pure ES or ES evasion hybrid on the shield, since shield can be a fairly high source of ES, and the ES based shields can also roll spell damage, which can give you a lot of damage. So that's an option as well. Alternatively, you go full defensive, you get block, spell suppress, and just as high energy shield or energy shield evasion as you can get. Physical damage reduction can be crafted for like 3% if you're not running any kind of armor on it. If you are running like an armor hybrid, you could potentially just get that here. So that's an option as well. As far as the rings, Preferably, you want to pick up some chaos res on your rings usually. I generally like to run amethyst rings a lot because hitting that chaos res is nice and pretty important. So that would be something you're looking for. And then, like, of course, your crafts hybrid resist plus chaos resist. Alternatively, you're definitely going to want, some damage on your rings. Try to get some flat damage on your rings. Life, if you're running life. There's also the option to get, there's a mastery for evasion and energy shield here. So you can get void battery here and get the 20% increased maximum energy shield if both equipped rings have an explicit evasion modifier. So if you get flat evasion on both of your rings, which you can also, I believe, craft on as well, then you'll be able to go ahead and utilize that and get 40% or get 20% increased maximum energy shield, which is pretty nice. So, and yeah, the energy shield recharge rate is largely irrelevant to this build since we have so many other ways to recoup our energy shield. So it's not important to get it on your amulet. Speaking of amulet, looking for attributes, of course, just to make sure we can fit everything in. And then, whatever resistances, you can get a lot of damage and crit multi on your amulet. So it can be a big damage node for you. Yoke of Suffering, of course, is also going to be quite insane in the amulet slot. So if you can get a hold of one of them, they're usually really expensive because it's such a good amulet in the early league, and there are so many elemental based attack builds that want to use it. So probably going to be a bit tricky to get a yoke, but if you can, definitely worthwhile for an amulet early on. Body armor, just probably want to go for as high evasion or evasion and energy shield to synergize with the Escape Artist as you can. And early on, you just got to go with whatever 6th link that is usable. You do want spell suppress. You're going to not be able to fill out all your spell suppress on the tree. I guess technically you can. I still have like intuition, quick step. I could go down here, but you're going to waste a lot of points if you don't get some spell suppress on gear. So you're definitely going to want to pick that up. If you're not able to max out your spell suppress early on, take the mastery point to give you a chance to suppress spell damage as lucky. As long as you have like more than 50%, this is going to be really big for you. Actually, just even if you have a little bit of spell suppress, it's still going to be pretty big for you defensively. So yeah, if you're not maxed out and spell suppress, do that. You want to make sure you are getting evasion on all your gear because you want this mastery that gives spell suppress if your helmet, body armor, gloves, and boots all have evasion rating, and 15% is quite a lot for 1 point. So you can get that going. Gloves, damage, attack speed, resists. Gloves are pretty great. Nice thing about this, you can see some important stats here from the Searing and Eater implicits for early on. Spell suppress and attack speed, both very nice. So yeah, you can definitely get those on here. Possibly you can get better like influenced gloves later on, but I don't really know for this build just yet. Boots. You can get a chance to avoid elemental ailments, both on the actual Eater of Worlds implicit, as well as you can actually get them on the boots themselves. I think you can actually craft them. I had the increased effect, but I just type in ailments here. Yeah, so I can actually just fully put this on here, and now I am at like 42% chance to avoid all ailments. I don't really bother too much because I have one step ahead, so I don't have to worry about freeze or chill. And I also am going to be utilizing Soul of Abrath most of the time, which gives less duration of ignites, making ignites not that dangerous. And for shocks, I can either specifically get reduced effect of or less duration of shock or chance to avoid shock on a flask. Alternatively, eventually, especially if I can get a mercenary that has like Wrath on it already, I just get Tempest Shield. Tempest Shield gives a lot of spell block, and it will also give me immunity to shock. I really like Tempest Shield on Trickster because Trickster using Soul of Abrath for the less duration of Ignite, and of course you want to capture for the unaffected by burning ground and movement speed on burning ground. But you definitely want to potentially be able to, with one step ahead, just get rid of that shock, and Tempest Shield's a great way to do that. Really, really good aura. I don't think it actually counts as an aura, but yeah, it's an aura-like effect. All right. And speaking of flasks, just mostly looking for evasion. Early on, you can get an armor flask. Like, I like getting a granite flask for up until like later mapping. So once you get into red maps, it's going to fall off a lot. But in campaign and early mapping, just having a granite flask is really good. So the 1500 extra armor is going to be enormously helpful compared to pretty much most of the other things you can do. I don't have my tabs, actually, I never have my tabs organized, but even less so in standard. I have, if you look back in my remove only tabs, there's a lot of them, some of which have ancient things in them, some of which have very little in them because they're from like events and stuff. But I found maps in here that are from like, you know, when Path of Exile was less than a year old, stuff and that kind of thing. So I haven't looked through these in a really long time. It was kind of a fun experience. I don't know where anything is anyway. Just clicking randomly. These ones aren't that old, I don't think. I have the old, like, kind of oval-y ones. The ones that are, like, longer from way back in the day. Anyway, getting on a little bit of a tangent there. All right, I think... other than that, I'm running, so Jade and Stibnite flasks, you want increased evasion during effect during one of them. I just get them all used when charges reach full. I have a silver flask and Quicksilver. Silver and Quicksilver with shield charge, which I didn't utilize as much as I could, especially if you have Blood Rage and or Haste. Shield charge is an insane way to get around, and of course you can intermittently use Frost Blink as well on top of that, and you can get around maps insanely quickly. It's very good. The more move speed, the better. As far as timeless jewels go, and Watcher's Eyes. So Watcher's Eyes, there's a lot of good precisions Watcher's Eyes. I would say going that route, like the multi or the attack speed with precision, if you can afford it. They're usually pretty expensive. Those can be nice. You can get like a Grace Watcher's Eye and run Grace over Wrath if you have enough damage elsewhere, or if you're getting like Wrath from your Mercenary, that's an option as well. But in this particular case, I don't have a lot of jewels allocated. I have a couple that I could that are 2 away, like here, up here, and here, and I'm only level 91, so I would probably end up getting some of those later on. But I think Brutal Restraint's pretty good. You can get a lot of stun avoidance from these, which is, I have a couple of stun avoidance rolls on here. You can get elemental damage, chance to blind enemies on hit can be really nice, and movement speed. I'm actually getting 10% move speed. So this particular Brutal Restraint that I have is quite good. It's got a lot of decent stuff on it for my build in particular. So yeah, Brutal Restraint can be really nice. I think damage, stun avoid, and blind are probably some of the higher priority things you want to get. And of course there's, evasion here as well. Like I could get Perfectionist, which would probably be good because that would help cap out my stun avoidance. You get 30% here and another 30% here, so 60%. That would actually, with the 40% I have, would get me capped out, and I'd get the bonus 20% evasion. So for this particular Brutal Restraint, that would be excellent. Other than Soul of Aberrath, it's kind of dealer's choice. You don't need Soul of Brine King at all, especially if you got a lot of stun avoidance or stun recovery, which you can also get on flasks. I opted for Reduced Effective Curse instead on my silver flask, but you can get stun recovery or stun avoidance through flasks as well. Other than that, I kind of like Soul of Arakali, especially as well. Well, I have to use Soul of Aracali at the moment because of the 40% chaos resist against damage over time because my chaos resist is so low. But you can get like Lethe Shade later on, and if you do that, you can get like Soul of Solaris if you want, or Soul of Lunaris. Either one should be fine. Or you can just stick on Soul of Aracali because it's still going to be good. Debuffs expiring faster, just reduce damage taken from damage over time. So I would say Soul of Aracali is probably the best. Maybe if you get things capped out, I would say Soul of Solaris would probably be the next one you would go for. All right. And I think that's pretty much everything. As far as how you want to level, you can just level as a Wanderer. I think it's pretty strong currently. If you want to try Locust Mines, they will be fit. They were incredibly overtuned. They'll be 50% weaker. They still might be really strong, even at 50% less damage. But their damage effectiveness nerfed. Honestly, their damage was so overtuned that I could see it still being pretty crazy. So you just pick up Locust Mines, Power Siphon before Merveil, and you're kind of off to the races from there. Get Skitterbots, trap and mine damage, maybe some flat damage here and there, a couple of Heralds, Wrath, whatever. And then the nice little trick you can do is you can put Detonate Mine on automation, and then you just toss your mines out, and you can probably do that all through campaign. I'm just going to regular attack. I'm going to use, I think, Power Siphon as soon as I get it, and I'm just going to do a wand attacker all the way through the campaign. It's probably not optimal. Might even be quite bad, honestly, but I think it'll be fun. So might end up putting me a little bit behind, but as long as I enjoy it, I don't mind. All right, long video, but that will be my league starter. Let me know what you're going to be playing in the comment section below. This has been Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and I'll see you next time. Bye.